Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rokah Kadash. Double honors to the elders and bishops of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. Salutations to the prophets and beloved brothers who continue to teach and exhort. The title of this epistle is going to be entitled, No More Beer and Hot Dogs for Babylon. No more beer and hot dogs for Babylon. As we can see, the war escalating over on in Iran and the U.S. There is implications prophetically to happen upon such war being started. It's not just going to be an isolated incident in one region where everything is going to be safe on the home front, while miles away, things tend to heat up on that side. As we're well aware, there has been tariffs implemented that is going to be evidently visible in our economy here in the West. And from that point on, many other things are going to transpire, in particularly shipments and commerce and trades. In the midst of wars, it's not like there's going to be a strategic route set up so that way your Amazon order is going to be delivered unto your house in the event of all hell breaking out and war being on the rise. Furthermore, your foods, your fruits and vegetables, again, in the times of war, the environment is very different, and no one here in the West, virgin daughter of Babylon, has experienced these types of events. So furthermore, we're going to go through scriptures and bring forth some edification, substantiating why in the midst of wars there will be famine of foods, and will bring on pestilence and plagues and such. So again, no more beer and hot dogs in Babylon. The party is over, and it's time to get really extremely serious and lock in to your teachers and beloved shepherds of Great Millstone and the beloved prophets that continue to make their bodies a living sacrifice to bring forth this wisdom and edification, again, that is given from on high to deliver right to you with the ease of access of your fingertips. All you have to do is just believe, take heed, and put forth the right attitude to take this serious. So we're going to jump into Ezekiel chapter 7, and we'll grab verse 5 real quick. It says, Thus saith Yahweh power, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come, and end is come, and the end is come. It watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. Verse 10, Behold, the day, behold, it is come. The morning is gone forth. The rod hath blossomed. Pride has budded. There's many topics and examples we can discuss what makes this nation so very proud and pompous, from their unholy days to their patriotic events, celebrating the bloodshed of conquering other lands, all in the name of peace, right? Ezekiel chapter 7 verse 11. Violence is risen up into a rod of wickedness. None of them shall remain, nor of their multitude, nor of any of theirs, neither shall there be wailing for them. In the midst of all war breaking out, there's not going to be any pity upon anyone. It's going to be an utter dog eat dog environment, unless you are covered by the blood of Hamashiach Yahushai, you will receive no cover. You will be subject to the penalties and the judgments that are written therein for not taking heed to the prophets and his warnings. Verse 12, the time is come, the day draweth near. Let not the buyer rejoice, nor the seller mourn, for wrath is upon all the multitude thereof. For the seller shall not return to that which is sold, although they were yet alive, for the vision is touching the whole multitude thereof, which shall not return, neither shall any strengthen himself in the iniquity of his life. In the midst of war and economic collapse, those supermarkets and retail stores that you like to venture in so much and have the liberty to have peace and walking on the streets of Babylon thereof is going to be utterly diminished. You will not have that luxury in the future. You will not have that luxury in the future. Verse 14 of Ezekiel 7. They have blown the trumpet, the messengers, the heralds, the angels of the Lord, blowing the trumpet, trying to make all ready, telling you these things are going to take place. There's no other way to make provisions for yourself to save your life other than having the true testament and understanding from the prophets, which is ultimately given from Yahweh. But none goeth to the battle, for my wrath is upon all the multitude. The sword is without, and the pestilence and the famine within. He that is in the field shall die with the sword, and he that is in the city, famine and pestilence shall devour him. Doesn't matter if you live in the country, in the mountains, in the city, in a cave, in a bunker, in a this or that. He will find you, and he will seek you out and destroy you. Thus saith Yahweh power. Next verse, we're going to grab Isaiah, the mighty book of Isaiah, chapter 19, starting at verse 2. We're centralizing why there's not going to be any more beer and hot dogs celebrated here in Babylon. Isaiah chapter 19, verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. This is your patriotic American against the next patriotic American, or liberal against a Republican, or whatever you hold dear to whatever. And they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. We read about that in Matthew chapter 24 as well, don't we? We'll jump real quick over into our Apocrypha, and we're going to compound this verse here with 2nd Esdras chapter 6. Where am I at? Chapter 6 and verse 24. It says, At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. We'll clarify that verse with Isaiah chapter 19 verse 2 as we continue to build our understanding why there will be no more beer and hot dogs in Babylon. Verse 3 of Isaiah chapter 19. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. That spirit, what kind of spirit is that? It's a spirit of wickedness. It's a spirit of debauchery, a harlot spirit, right? It's not a holy spirit. It's not a ruach spirit here. It's a very defiled spirit. And that spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof. And I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. People are going to be looking all over for answers when all hell breaks loose here in Babylon. They're going to be looking to channel whatever 3 Fox. They're going to be looking at CNN. They're going to be looking at all their favorite TV anchors that's been strumming the harps for them for decades and decades, informing them on world affairs that has only been a false vision from their charmers, right? So verse 4, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord. This is their president, the one they esteem and say, he will save us. He's going to make everything great again, right? And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith Yahweh power, and the Yahweh of our hosts. So it has already been written aforetime for us to understand these things. Thus saith Yahweh power, about what he's going to evidently allow to happen, to cause judgments to go forth for the salvation of his nation, the 12 tribes of Israel. Verse 5, and the waters shall fail from the sea, and the river shall be wasted and dried up. So no more of that easy commerce, no more of that easy life. All that stuff is going to be shut down, right? Shut down. And they shall turn the rivers far away, and the brooks of defense shall be emptied and dried up. There'll be no security anywhere. All defenses will be lost. Where we at? And the reeds and the flags shall wither, the paper reeds and the brooks by the mouth of the brooks, and everything sown by the brooks shall wither, be driven away, and no more. The fishers shall mourn, and all they that cast angle into the brooks shall lament, and they that spread nets upon the waters shall languish. You're not going to find anything of comfort. Everything is going to be dried up. Everything is not going to be back to normal as usual. Thus saith Yahweh power. Isaiah chapter 19 verse 9. Moreover, they that work in fine flax and they that weave networks shall be confounded. This is your retail stores and those retail outlets, Walmarts and Targets and Kmarts and JC. I don't know what else is out there, but all those is going to be shut down. There's not going to be no more markets like this. Verse 10, and they shall be broken in the purposes thereof, all that make sluices and ponds for fish. So again, we're centering these ideas around the lack of commerce and trade, no more coming to the shores of the great US of A. No more beer and hot dogs. No more, okay? Ezekiel, we're going to go to the Ezekiel chapter 35. Because it is truly wicked. This place is truly wicked. It's abominable. It's very prideful. Everyone has their own idea of righteousness. They continue to gobble up the lies from these wolves in sheep's clothing. And so he's going to give them over. He's going to give them over to the desires of their heart. Right? For where those that hearken and hear and obey, the desires of their heart should be to please and fear the Most High Yahweh through his son Yahweh Shai. That should be your ultimate desire. You should put all things aside and run and eat this word to be fed really, really well. So that way you're not panicking like everyone else is in those times. Ezekiel chapter 35 verse 1 to 9. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir. Mount Seir is the nation of Esau, Edom, starting with the Amalekites that are planted in the nation state of Israel, Jerusalem. Mount Seir refers to the European nations, those that are outside of the BRICS nations, if you will. Son of man, set thy face against... I may have to reiterate that a little bit because there are some Ishmaelites that are still tied into Esau, Edom. Verse 2, Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir, and prophesy against it, and say unto it, Thus saith Yahweh power, Behold, O Mount Seir, I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand and against thee, and I will make thee most desolate. This is also referring to this nation, the US of A. This is a twofold prophecy. So whatever has been done in the past to the children of Israel, it will certainly come to the shores of Babylon here and extend to their brothers, the chief tribe of Esau, Edom, the Amalekites over there in Jerusalem. Verse 4, I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. So Esau always had it out for Jacob. He swore that after his father were to pass on, that he was going to hunt his brother down, and it was going to be a perpetual thing all through generation to generations, and it has not stopped yet since, but will shortly come to an abrupt end very shortly. Verse 6, therefore, as I live, saith Yahweh power, I will prepare thee unto blood, like a perfect sacrifice, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, since you don't care, about blood, blood is going to surely pursue you. Verse 7, thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate. Finito. No more beer and hot dogs for Babylon, and cut off from it him that passeth out and him that returneth. No more merchandise, no more commerce, no more trade, no more Amazon, no more doggy treats, none of that stuff. Okay? And I will fill his mountains with his slain men, in thy hills and in the valleys and in thy rivers shall they fall that are slain by the sword. And I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return, and ye shall know that I am Yahweh power. Our power is going to return with vengeance and wrath. He said, blood up to the horse's bridle for the iniquities and the pride and the pompous of this wicked nation that continues to suppress and oppress the poor and just cause detriment to everyone's joy that the Most High is coming to repair, right? Starting with the 12 tribes of Israel to redeem the elect and place them back in rulership so that the world can prosper once again as in the days of the garden. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 27. Ezekiel chapter 27. We'll just jump back a few pages. Boom. Right. And we're highlighting some of these verses found within the prophets to bring forth some edification of these things that we can expect to see and experience here in the great nation of Babylon. Ezekiel chapter 27 verses 24, it says, these were thy merchants in all sorts of things, in blue clothes and embroidered work, and in chests of rich apparel, bound with cords and made of cedar among thy merchandise. See, the reason why this nation here has experienced the commerces from around the world is because there were certain pacts made with these other countries to continue to bring in those fine things that you like. This country here doesn't make everything, so it was only through the internet and ordering things across the world where you were able to order all the things you like, right? So commerce and trade is going to come to a halt. Verse 25 of Ezekiel chapter 27, it says, the ships of Tarshish did sing of thee in thy market, and thou wast replenished and made very, very glorious in the midst of the seas. Thy rowers have brought thee into great waters. The east wind hath broken thee in the midst of the seas. Trade routes and stuff, right? Thy riches and thy fares, thy merchandise, thy mariners and thy pilots, thy caulkers and thy occupiers of thy merchandise, and all the men of war, they are in thee, and in all thy company, which is in the midst of thee, shall fall in the midst of the seas in the day of thy ruin. So, again, this was done to the nation of Israel when it was standing, and it's going to be done to all the other nations that have put their hands on the children of Israel. 28, the suburbs shall shake at the sound of the cry of the pilots, And all that handle the oar, the mariners, and all the pilots of the sea shall come down from their ships. They shall stand upon the land, and shall cause their voice to be heard against thee, and shall cry bitterly, and shall cast dust upon their heads. They shall wallow themselves in ashes. Them casting up dust upon their heads is confusion. When they see all these things, they're going to wonder why these things are suddenly happening, and be astonished, and they're going to be in belly ache. What am I going to do now? How are we going to do this, and where are we going to get our stuff, and all these other things? They're going to be in total chaos and confusion. Verse 31, and they shall make themselves utterly bald for thee, and gird them with sackcloth, and they shall weep for thee with bitterness of heart and bitter wailing. And in their wailing they shall take up a lamentation for thee, and lament over thee, saying, what city is like Taurus, like the destroyed in the midst of the sea? When thy wares went forth out of the seas, thou fillest many people. Thou didst enrich the kings of the earth with the multitude of thy riches and of thy merchandise. In the time when thou shalt be broken by the seas, in the depths of the waters, thy merchandise and all thy company in the midst of thee shall fall. All the inhabitants of the isle shall be astonished at thee, and their king shall be sore afraid. They shall be troubled in their countenance. The merchants among the people shall hiss at thee. Thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt be any more. So, when these things come to pass, and total destruction is evidently in your face, by that time it's probably a little too late to receive mercy and repentance, because the doors of mercy will be shut. This is what ultimately those that will be standing in those times be witnessing, and it'll be utter destruction and chaos and terror, right? We're going to jump into Second Esdras chapter 6 of the Apocrypha, starting at verse 18, and we'll read down a little bit to 25. It says, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them, what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So right now we can see the gathering around the nation state of Israel, the Most High drawing them all together, the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat. The Most High Yahweh's judgment is what that means. So we see that he's making inquisition for his children, right? And he's going to have his way, is what the word says. Verse 20, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then will I show these tokens, right? All the things that he says in his prophecies. The books shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The women with child shall bring forth untimely children, and 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. Verse 22, and suddenly shall all the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall be suddenly found empty. Those supermarkets, everything that held every variety of mayonnaise and ketchup is going to be utterly cleaned off. There will not be anything there, maybe but a box of mothballs, right? Verse 23, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. So when the prophets declare what's going to happen next, as these judgment continues to rise and people take heed, now they're going to be shaking in their boots, right? Because now they're going to be believers. Now they're going to be believers. 24, at that time, we read this already, at that time shall friends fight against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Right. Verse 25, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape, and shall see my salvation and the end of your world. Well, the only ones that's going to be standing is the elect, those that have been crying and sighing on the highways and hedges and putting forth the word for this ministry in which we're commanded to do. Thus saith Yahweh power, for you to receive this word and warning, to take heed, to cleave unto what is being said, right? Because these are the only ones that are going to be standing and see all these things come to pass. So the testimony will fortify that his word is true. His word is true. Revelation 18, 24 minutes. Revelation 18. Revelation 18. Where am I going to read from? Oh, Revelation 18, we'll start at verse 3 and go down a little bit. It says, for all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Who is this? The great whore of Babylon. This great US of A has made all nations drink from the cup of her iniquities. Her policies, the culture. It has ultimately destroyed the nations and their people by taking on the customs in which they work with their witchcraft and pharmakia and all these other things. Total brainwash. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So because the children of Israel were made to serve all nations for being, we were scattered into the four corners of the earth, we were made to be like an ox or a workhorse for all nations, for generations and generations, and we have made these other nations wax rich with delicacies, with our talents, natural born talents, our wisdom, our strength, music, so on and so forth, right? The salt of the earth. So it says, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. We can see how people have not a care in the world. You know, they live on the high life of life. Verse 4, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. Come out of her, my people. So, you Israelite Gentiles that are still stuck on calling yourself anything other than a Hebrew Israelite, you are still stuck in the customs of these other nations. And he says to come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. And don't drink of the whore, the cup of the wine of the whore, right? It says that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Receive not of her plagues, which means you will be reserved, you will be taken care of in the time of these judgments. Verse 5, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh hath remembered her iniquities. It is now to pay up. Verse 6, he says, reward her even as she has rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. Double, because we have served double. Now the curses will be placed on our enemies so they can start drinking from that cup of iniquity and receive double for her works. Verse 7, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. Right? I don't need to say anything else. For she saith in her heart, I sit as a queen, and I am not a widow, and see no sorrow. Has never been touched, never saw war, never has done anything, but continues to consume the riches and the welfare of all these other nations. Just barge down the door, start barking orders, and say, give me all your resources and stick them up, right? This is what the great whore does. Revelation 18 and verse 8. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. She shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh power who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Everyone who has done commerce and Wall Street and all this other stuff and made themselves very prosperous in a very defiled land are going to eat and drink from that cup of iniquity. Thus saith Yahweh power, right? Verse 10, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise any more. No more commerce, no more beer, no more hot dogs, no more 4th of July parties, no more. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones, and of pearls and fine linen, and purple and silk and scarlet, and all thine wood, and all manner of vessels of ivory, and all manner of vessels of most precious wood, and of brass and iron and marble, and cinnamon and odors and ointments, and frankincense and wine and oil, and fine flour and wheat, and beasts and sheep and horses and chariot and slaves, and souls of men will no longer be coming in or out to the great shores of Babylon. No more Ford Mustangs, no more Hondas, no more engine parts, no more beer and hot dogs, right? But but there is good news. There is good news. Let's jump quickly back into Ezekiel. There is good news. I'm gonna give you a little bit of good news real quick. Ezekiel 34. Ezekiel 34. This is for those who have the ears to hear, eyes to see, and cleave to this wisdom, because it is able to save your life. Ezekiel chapter 34, verses 12 and 13, it says, as a shepherd seeketh out his flock in the day that he is among his sheep that are scattered, so will I seek out my sheep, and I will deliver them out of all places where they have been scattered in the cloudy and dark day. And I will bring them out from the people and gather them from the countries, and I will bring them to their own land and feed them upon the mountains of Yasha'Allah, by the rivers, and in all the inhabited places of the country. Right? Verse 26 of the same chapter, it says, and I will make them and the places round about my hill a blessing, and I will cause the shower to come down in the season. There shall be showers of blessing. Verse 27, and the tree of the field shall yield her fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am Yahweh, when I have broken the bands of their yoke, and delivered them out of the land of those that served themselves of them. No longer will we have to put in a 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-hour work week just to stay on that hamster wheel, never to have the full potential of a life being fulfilled in the way he wants to fulfill that life for us, right? Verse 28, and they shall no more be a prey to the heathens. Well, this says heathen, but heathens, because we're scattered in all nations. Neither shall the beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid. Right? I'm going to grab one more verse for you. One more verse. Revelation. This is good news, right? Good news. We want his will to be done, not our own. We want what our Father wants. And he wants only good for us. He wants to save us. He wants to wash us up. He wants to make us clean. He wants us to be healthy. He wants us to eat good food and drink good water. He wants our minds and our mouths to be clean and purged of iniquity, no longer speaking defiled things. Revelation chapter 19, verse 9, it says, and he saith unto me, Write, blessed are they which are called unto the marriage supper of the Lamb. And he saith unto me, these are the true sayings of Yahweh power. So you are bid to come to the marriage supper of the Lamb. Your table is set up on table 35. Go have a seat and enjoy yourself. Enjoy the blessings. You must cleave to this wisdom and knowledge and understanding that is able to save your soul, to receive salvation, to be covered by the blood of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and none other. There is no name under heaven which you may be saved. Yahweh Bahashem Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. So with that, I pray you are edified. Until the next time, Shalom.